My girlfriend whispered, "Don't tell anyone I quit." I trusted her and paid every bill. Then her phone lit up with GoFundMe donations from friends, coworkers, even her parents. That night I realized I wasn't her partner, I was the secret she erased to survive. She leaned in close, like the walls could hear us, and whispered, "Don't tell anyone I quit." That was the moment something inside me tightened. Not snapped, not broke, just tightened. Like a warning I didn't know how to read yet. We were sitting in my car, engine off, streetlight flickering above the windshield. Her hands were shaking in her lap. She wouldn't look at me. I remember thinking it was just stress, burnout, another bad day in a long line of bad days. I said, "Okay," without hesitation, because that's what you do when you love someone. You protect them, even from the truth, sometimes. We'd been together almost 3 years by then, met in grad school, late-night library sessions, cheap coffee, shared dreams that felt enormous back then. She was ambitious, intense, always chasing the next version of herself. I admired that. Maybe I built too much of my belief system around it. She worked at a nonprofit. Long hours, low pay, high emotional toll. She complained about it constantly, but she was proud of the work, said it gave her purpose. So when she quit without another job lined up, I was surprised but not angry. "What are you going to do?" I asked. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were glossy, exhausted. "I just need time, a reset." I nodded. "We'll figure it out," and I meant it. At first, nothing really changed. I paid for a little more. Groceries, gas, the occasional dinner out when she said she was too tired to cook. She said she was applying places, interviewing, waiting to hear back. Weeks passed, then months. Every time I asked about applications, she'd sigh, roll her eyes. "It's rough out there." I stopped asking so often. I didn't want to pressure her, didn't want to be that guy, but something felt off. She started sleeping later, staying up all night scrolling, snapping at me over nothing. If I mentioned money, her tone changed immediately. "I told you I've got it handled," she'd say, sharp, defensive. So I backed off. Again, then one night, while she was in the shower, her phone lit up on the nightstand. I wasn't snooping, I swear. It just kept buzzing, notification after notification. I glanced over. Anonymous donated $50. Another buzz. Anonymous donated $25. My stomach dropped. I picked up the phone. My hands felt cold, like they didn't belong to me anymore. There it was, a GoFundMe page. Her face was right at the top. Same smile she used in profile pictures. Soft lighting, carefully chosen vulnerability. The title hit me like a slap. "Help me rebuild after losing everything." I clicked, and I started reading. She wrote about being suddenly unemployed, about a toxic work environment, about how she was struggling to make rent and didn't have support. She wrote about being alone. Alone. She didn't mention me, not once. She wrote that she had no one to turn to, that she was embarrassed to ask friends for help, that every dollar would go toward survival. The goal was $8,000. She'd already raised almost $3,200 from coworkers, old classmates, friends I recognized by name, people who thought she was drowning. I felt like I was the one underwater. "Don't tell anyone I quit." That whisper came rushing back, louder now, clearer. She hadn't just quit her job. She'd rewritten her life. The shower shut off. I put the phone back exactly where it was. My heart was hammering so hard I thought she'd hear it through the door. She came out, wrapped in a towel, humming like nothing in the world was wrong. I didn't say anything. Not that night. Not the next day. I needed to understand why. Over the next week, I watched more closely. Little things started clicking into place. The sudden Venmo balance she never explained. The Amazon packages. The way she stopped worrying about rent deadlines. The casual, "Oh, it's fine," when I asked how she paid for something. One night, she mentioned grabbing drinks with an old coworker, someone who donated $100, according to the GoFundMe. "You didn't tell them you quit, right?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. She stiffened, just for a second. "No. Why would I?" I nodded, just checking. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. That night, lying next to her, staring at the ceiling, I realized something that made my chest ache. She didn't see what she was doing as lying. She saw it as surviving, and I was just collateral. I started reading the comments on the fundraiser, messages full of encouragement, people calling her brave, strong, resilient. One comment stood out: "You deserve support." I'm so glad you're finally choosing yourself. I wondered where I fit into that version of the story, because from where I was standing, she was choosing everything except honesty. I thought about confronting her, rehearsed it in my head a dozen times, but every version ended the same way, her crying, calling me unsupportive, flipping the script until I was the bad guy. So I waited, and the longer I waited, the more I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about who she was willing to be when things got hard, and who she was willing to erase. I wasn't angry yet, but I could feel it coming, like a storm forming quietly, patiently, right under my ribs. The anger didn't hit all at once. It seeped in slowly, quiet, methodical. I kept playing the role. I always had the supportive boyfriend, the one who paid without counting, the one who listened without interrupting. But inside, something had shifted. I wasn't just watching anymore, I was documenting. Every time she mentioned being broke, I noted it. Every time she spent money like it was nothing, I noted that too. I checked the GoFundMe page every morning before work, sometimes at night, while she slept beside me. The donations kept coming. 20美元, 75美元, 200美元, strangers calling her strong, friends saying, "We've got you." Meanwhile, she'd casually ask me to pick up dinner. "I'm exhausted," she'd say, curling into the couch. "Can you handle it?" And I would. Because saying no felt like detonating a bomb I wasn't ready to face. One night, I finally asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Have you told your parents yet?" I said, trying to sound casual. She froze mid-bite. "Told them what?" "That you quit." Her jaw tightened. "No. God, no. They'd freak out." I nodded slowly. "Right. Makes sense." She studied my face, like she was searching for something. "Why are you asking?" "No reason," I said, just thinking out loud. She relaxed. But I didn't, because her parents had donated $500. I saw their names on the page the week before. That was when it stopped being confusing and started feeling intentional. A few days later, she asked if she could use my laptop, said hers was acting up. I hesitated. Just a second too long. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "All good." She logged into her email. I wasn't trying to look. I swear I wasn't. But then I saw it. A draft. Subject line. GoFundMe update. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." She hadn't sent it yet. I read the first line. "Hi everyone. I wanted to share a quick update and thank you all for helping me survive the hardest chapter of my life." Survive. My life hadn't changed at all. Same job, same bills, same responsibilities. Except now I was apparently invisible. She closed the laptop a minute later and handed it back. "Thanks, babe." I watched her walk away, and something in me finally hardened. This isn't a misunderstanding, I thought. This is a strategy. The next week, she asked me for money, just casually, like it was nothing. "Hey," she said, leaning against the kitchen counter, "can you spot me $300? I'll pay you back when things settle." I looked at her, really looked at her. "Sure," I said. She smiled, relief washing over her face. "Thank you. Seriously, you don't know how much this helps." I transferred the money. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I donated $300 to her GoFundMe, anonymously. I wanted to see what would happen. An hour later, she gasped from the couch. "Oh my God, what?" I asked. "Someone just donated $300, she said, eyes wide. "People are so kind." I nodded. "Yeah, they really are." She didn't connect it, not even for a second. That night, she posted an update. "Your generosity brought me to tears today." I felt sick, but also clear. I stopped feeling guilty after that, because guilt only works when you think you're doing something wrong. A few days later, she invited friends over. A little get-together. Wine, laughter, pretending everything was normal. I recognized two people from the donor list. They hugged her tightly. "You're so brave," one of them said. "I don't know how you're getting through this." She glanced at me, just briefly, and smiled. I felt something snap then. Not violently, cleanly, like a rope finally giving way. Later that night, after everyone left and the apartment was quiet, she curled up next to me. "Thank you for being so patient with me," she said softly. "I know this hasn't been easy." I swallowed. "Yeah." She rested her head on my chest. "I don't know what I'd do without you." I stared at the ceiling. Neither do I thought. But I'm about to find out. The next morning, I called a friend of mine, someone who worked in nonprofit compliance. I didn't give names at first, just asked hypotheticals. "What happens if someone misrepresents their situation on a fundraiser?" I asked. There was a pause. "Depends. But if they're lying to donors, especially claiming no support when they have it?" That can get messy. Messy. I thanked him and hung up. I wasn't thinking about revenge yet. I was thinking about truth. That afternoon, I took screenshots. Everything. The page, the updates, the comments, the donations from people she claimed didn't know. I even found an old message she'd sent me months earlier. "I'm so lucky to have you. I don't need anyone else." I saved that too. That night, she came home excited. "I hit my goal," she said breathlessly. "I can finally breathe." I smiled faintly. "I'm glad." She hesitated. "Hey, I was thinking, once things stabilize, maybe we can take a trip. Just reset together." I nodded. "Yeah, maybe." She kissed my cheek. I didn't feel anything, because in my head, something had already changed. I wasn't planning a confrontation. I was planning an ending, one where I didn't raise my voice, didn't beg for honesty, didn't let her rewrite me the way she rewrote herself. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. I didn't leave right away. Not because I was scared, not because I was confused, but because I wanted to be absolutely certain that when I walked away, I'd never second-guess myself. So I stayed quiet. I watched her celebrate milestones that weren't real. I watched her rehearse sadness before phone calls, then laugh 10 minutes later. I watched her become someone I barely recognized, someone fluent in selective truth. One evening, she sat across from me at dinner, scrolling through her phone. "People keep asking for updates," she said, shaking her head like it was such a burden. "I don't even know what to say anymore." I took a sip of water. "You could tell them the truth." She looked up sharply. "What truth?" I met her eyes, held them, then I looked away. "Nothing," I said. "Just thinking." Her jaw clenched. "You've been weird lately." "Have I?" "Yeah," she said, distant, quiet. I shrugged. "Maybe I'm just tired." She studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, me too." That was the thing. She always mirrored emotions when it suited her. A few days later, I got a message from one of her old coworkers, someone I barely knew. "Hey, random question, how's she holding up?" I donated and just wanted to check in. My chest tightened. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "She's okay," I typed. "Getting support." It felt like lying by omission. But then the coworker sent another message. "I'm relieved." She said she didn't have anyone. That sentence burned. I didn't respond. That night, I couldn't sleep. She was snoring softly beside me, peaceful, unbothered. And I realized something that finally pushed me forward. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing the version of herself she'd sold to everyone else. The next morning, I took a personal day. Packed a bag. Nothing dramatic. Just clothes, essentials. The quiet dignity of someone who'd already mourned. When she woke up, I was sitting at the table. "Hey," she said, yawning. "You're up early." "Yeah," I said. "We need to talk." Her shoulders stiffened immediately. "Okay." I slid my phone across the table. The GoFundMe page was open. She stared at it. For a long second, she didn't say anything. Then she laughed. A short, breathy sound. "You went through my phone?" "I donated," I said. "And I read." Her face changed. The softness drained out of it, replaced by calculation. "You don't understand," she said quickly. "I didn't mean it like that." "Like what?" "Like lying," she said. "I just needed help." I nodded. "You told people you had no one." She opened her mouth, closed it. "I was embarrassed," she said finally. "I didn't want them to think I was dependent." "On me?" I asked. She flinched. "I never said that." "You didn't have to," I said. "You erased me instead." Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. Or maybe just well-practiced. "You're making this bigger than it is," she said. "Everyone does this. Crowdfunding is storytelling." I almost smiled. Storytelling. "So I'm just... what?" I asked. "An extra you cut for pacing?" She shook her head desperately. "No, you're twisting it. I gave you money," I said calmly. "Paid your bills, covered rent, groceries, gas, and you still told people you were alone." She stood up. "I didn't ask you to do that." "No," I said. "You just let me." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. She crossed her arms. "What do you want from me?" The question surprised me. Not an apology. Not remorse. A transaction. "I want honesty," I said. "And I don't think you're capable of it." Her expression hardened instantly. "So what?" she said coldly. "You're threatening me now?" I shook my head. "No. I'm leaving." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I already packed," I said. "I'll be gone by tonight." She scoffed. "You can't be serious." "I am." She paced, ran her hands through her hair. "You're abandoning me when I finally get back on my feet." I laughed then. I couldn't help it. You got back on your feet by standing on everyone else. Her voice rose. So what? I did what I had to do, and I'm doing what I have to do, I said quietly. She stared at me like I'd just betrayed her. You're really going to leave over this? I picked up my bag. I'm leaving because you looked me in the eye and told me not to tell anyone you quit, then told the world you had no one. She followed me to the door. This is cruel, she said. You're punishing me. I turned back one last time. No, I said. I'm opting out. I walked out before she could say anything else. I stayed with a friend for a while. Didn't check her socials. Didn't look at the fundraiser until one night, curiosity won. The GoFundMe page was still there, but the comments had changed. People asking questions. Donors requesting clarification. Someone had reported it. I don't know who. And honestly, I didn't care. A week later, she texted me. I never thought you'd do this to me. I stared at the message, then deleted it. No reply, because some stories don't need a rebuttal. They just need an ending. For a while, life felt eerily quiet. No late-night arguments. No whispered secrets. No notifications buzzing with half-truths. Just silence. At first, that silence was uncomfortable. Like standing in an empty room after a fire alarm stops ringing. You know you're safe, but your body hasn't caught up yet. I went through the motions. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. People asked how I was doing. I gave vague answers. I'm okay. Taking some time. The kind of phrases that keep conversations shallow. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed. A notification from Reddit. I almost ignored it, but the title caught my eye. Was I wrong for crowdfunding after quitting my job without telling my boyfriend? My chest tightened. I clicked. It was her. Same cadence. Same selective vulnerability. Same version of reality, but refined, polished. She wrote about feeling trapped in a toxic job, about a boyfriend who never really understood, about how she had to choose herself and how that choice cost her the relationship. She didn't mention the money I gave her, didn't mention the rent, didn't mention the whisper. She painted herself as misunderstood, brave, alone, and Reddit ate it up. Top comment: you did what you had to do. If he couldn't support you, that's on him. Another: sounds like he was controlling. I felt a strange calm wash over me. Of course, I thought. Of course this is how she tells it. I scrolled. Hundreds of comments. Thousands of upvotes, and then I saw it. Someone had linked the GoFundMe, and beneath it questions. Why did you say you had no support when your boyfriend was paying your bills? Why did you take money from people under false pretenses? Why didn't you just tell the truth? Her replies were defensive, fragmented, emotional. The narrative was slipping. I closed the app. I didn't feel vindicated or smug. I felt free. A few days later, a mutual friend reached out. Hey, she said. I don't want to be in the middle, but are you okay? I am, I replied. And for the first time, it wasn't a lie. She's been telling people you abandoned her, the friend added gently. I paused, then typed. I left a situation that wasn't honest. That was all. I stopped explaining myself after that, because the people who mattered didn't need convincing, and the ones who believed her story, they were never really listening to mine anyway. Weeks passed. I moved into my own place. Small, quiet, mine. I cooked for myself, ate when I wanted, slept without tension humming in the air. One evening, while unpacking, I found an old note she'd written me years ago. You're my safe place. I folded it carefully and threw it away, not out of bitterness, out of clarity, because safety without honesty is just another illusion. I learned something from all of this, something that stuck with me long after the anger faded. People don't just lie to others, they lie to themselves first, and sometimes loving someone means walking away before you become part of the lie. I didn't lose her that day. I lost the version of myself who thought loyalty meant silence, and that loss, that one felt like growth.